wind-blown face. We're also wind-blown in the Midwest. We're always just like facing into the wind to get those leather faces that novelists love so much. Or chapped. Wind-chapped faces.
Wind-chapped.
That's what I've got.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael.
And I'm Janet, and this is the Book Report, the Internet's weekly literary talk show.
Today we are going to be talking about a new book called 1004 by Ben Lerner, which just came out pretty recently.
A few years ago, Ben Lerner put out Leaving the Atoka Station, and that was basically about his time as a Fulbright scholar. And that book got a lot of critical acclaim. And then this book is about a young novelist in Brooklyn who had a critically acclaimed first novel and then got a huge advance to write his second novel.
This was an interesting book, and I've been waiting for weeks to talk about this with you because I am still not really sure I know what to make of it. There's so much that I admired, and he's technically a very talented writer. It's a very navel-gazing, very self-involved book. That's not always a bad thing. I gotta say, in the way he handled it, left me a little cold.
He's clearly very intelligent, very talented, like a gifted wordsmith. Mm-hmm. And I would be so interested to see him talk about something besides himself. My favorite parts of the book were these like mini meditations on other people. Like there's a part where he talks about the Challenger disaster and Krista McAuliffe. There's a part where he talks about Walt Whitman and what he thinks of his Civil War poem. And those parts are so interesting. I wish that he would take these prodigious gifts that he has and focus them on something else.
When he did talk about the superstorm or the dinosaurs or, Back to the Future, these things that he kind of goes on about, even the Joan of Arc, the painting that he talks about in the beginning. And I was like, he has some cool stuff to say, but it's really always just going back to being about Ben Lerner, which is fine. I just, I still didn't really get a picture of who Ben Lerner was.
There's a sense that the whole novel feels like a humble brag or like false modesty. There's all these parts where he's like, I put out this novel by this really small press and it was like it got like a weird amount of great reviews, right? And then like I got this huge advance and like how weird is that, right? And I'm just like, it's so weird.
I didn't think it was that good, but the New Yorker, they thought it was okay, so that's kind of cool, I guess. The chapter that was set in Marfa, where he wins a fellowship from this foundation, the Lannan Foundation, I think, in Marfa. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but I thought it was a complete mess. And maybe that's me being kind of possessive about it because, most of the book takes place in New York. Yeah. I live in Texas. I've been to Marfa a bunch of times, and it just sort of seems like a very New York outlook on what Marfa is like. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And, that he was sort of going to this place and still is really only just thinking about himself, and it seems like he could have been anywhere. I just think maybe my tolerance for the sort of self-obsessed Brooklyn autobiographical novel, I think my tolerance is, maybe just not as high. It's a very MFA kind of book.
For sure.
For sure.
Ben Lerner does not hide his MFA under a bushel.
No.
He's talking about art gallery openings. And he said, the opening as a form, insofar as I understood it, was a ritual destruction of the conditions of viewing for the artifacts it was meant to celebrate. I was like, interesting.
That's weird, huh?
I got a sense that Ben Lerner does not care if I read this book. He's writing this for all of his other MFA peers.
I don't think he does care, and that can be a great thing. In this case, for me, it just didn't land. I will say, my favorite part of the book, besides the Challenger thing, was that it got me to watch Back to the Future again. That movie pretty much owns. You got your Huey Lewis, you got your DeLorean. But honestly, while reading the book, a lot of it was like, man, wish I could be watching Back to the Future right now. And it's probably going to end up as a full quote on the paperback.
Well, that's 10:04.
True.
Recommended for those who live in Brooklyn.
Yes.
By the Book Report.
For those who don't, Red or Dead by David Peace. This has been the Book Report. Please remember to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook and Tumblr us on Tumblr. And what's the other one?
Subscribe
on YouTube.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll bring you more.
We'll bring you more of this.
Of this clumsy outro.
What is the deal with art openings? Just
Don't
like
you hate it when you buy caviar and you get it home and you forgot champagne?